Hi guys, I am Marina Amdream with Arkansas Amdream. Thank you so much for watching. Today I have a very special guest with me. Can you please introduce yourself? What is your name and who are you with?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. My name is Sharon Keithley. I am a nursepreneur. I own my own company, and I'm also an author. So I just wanted to thank you for having me on, and I look forward to our conversation.
Yeah, nurse. So first, of course, thank you so much for being on the front line and keeping us safe. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you can be a nurse. Blood freaks me out. So I thank you for what you do at this difficult time for our nation and beyond. So thank you. But I wanted to ask you, so the main reason I reached out to you is because you are a first-time author. And I wanted to ask you about anything. You can talk about your company, talk about your book, but just like, what do you do and how you can help us?
Well, I would really love to speak to people who are interested in becoming an author. I am, as you said, a first-time author, and it's just been a fantastic journey. I started writing a skincare blog actually back in the spring last year, and that evolved. I joined a blogging group, and that evolved to a writers group. And part of that writers group, I met Kim McPherson, who is the author coach who heads that group up. It's Women Who Want to Write, Bestseller Bound is the name of the group. So I joined that group, and since then, that was probably in July, I believe, and I have always had in my background, I love mysteries, and I wanted to use some of the patients that I have worked with in the past, some of their conditions, some of their illnesses, injuries, that have inspired me to not only do the work that I do as a nurse, but also just their courage, their inspiration for what they do and how they get over illnesses and injuries has just always been amazing to me. So I kind of combined my love for mysteries along with some of my knowledge from my medical background and started thinking about how cool that would be if some of those people could actually work as maybe a detective, or maybe a police officer, or maybe a surgeon, and come together to tell a story, maybe one of my patients' stories. And that's exactly what I've worked on over the last 3 or 4 months. Colors of Deceit was born out of one of my patients, inspiration from one of my patients. He was a head injured patient who had a really difficult time overcoming that injury. His primary problem was that he had some difficulty in dealing with people. Head injuries are affecting different people in different ways. His problem was that he was so outgoing, such a magnificent young man. And then after his injury, he became withdrawn and didn't interact with people as he normally did. Nobody knew why, because the head injury that he had certainly was a serious injury, but it wasn't life-threatening, or it should not have been life-changing, but yet it was for him. So I was assigned to the file, and as I dug a little deeper, I noticed that he could open up to me, and not some other people, not people in his family, not neighbors, not friends, but for some reason he could open up to me. So I asked him one day, why are you able to do that? Why are we able to have a conversation when you have difficulty talking with even your family members? And he told me something that really struck me. Something I was so unfamiliar with. But he said, you don't have colors. And I didn't know what to think about that. You know, it was a unusual phrase, and I didn't understand it at all. But his thing was, when he was hit on the head, when he had his head injury, he developed what was called synesthesia. I've done a lot of research on that since then. And actually, it is a real thing, and people do interpret senses differently. His were interpreted as color. So he could look at somebody and they displayed different colors to him. Their auras were different. They had colors zipping around them, and they mean different things. So I've always been amazed by that, and was able to get him in with a psychiatric team that was able to help him cope with that and deal with those aspects. And then my file was closed, so I kind of lost track of what he did, but that always kind of stuck with me. And I wanted to expand on that when I started thinking about mysteries and detectives and how they could use that information. So it's just been that type of journey for me. It's been a one thing led to another, that led to another, that kind of led to another. But it all came together in Colors of Deceit. And my detective, Olivia, has a head injury as a teenager, and she developed synesthesia. And yeah, I kind of expanded that a lot, probably exaggerated the symptoms a little bit, and kind of made it a little bit more interesting to read for my readers. But everybody who has read it has said that it's just been a really entertaining story for them. So that makes me really happy. But that was the inspiration for that book.
That's awesome. And can we see the book? Do you have a picture? You have a
Sure.
book with you?
You know, I don't have one right here with me. I do have one. I can run and get it if you want, or not.
Okay, we're gonna pause this and then you can come and get it. All right, so can you please show it to us?
Absolutely, I'm happy to. This is Colors of Deceit. This cover was designed for me by Sergi Gomez Hernandez. He is an awesome watercolorist, and he lives in London. And I connected with him. He designed this cover for me, and I am just absolutely in love with it. So thank you, Sergi. I appreciate that. But this is my book. It's 285 pages, and it was released on March the 19th with Amazon. And I had an official book launch on Saturday. It was virtual. It was supposed to be a book signing downtown Little Rock. And of course, with the COVID experience happening, I wasn't able to do that. But I did have a really fun launch on Saturday, and that was really fun.
Yeah, and you can maybe connect with Barnes & Noble later, and maybe you can have it there, because I think they support Amazon books, right?
They do. They do.
Maybe you can do it there, and or do it again where it was going to be. And I'm just so happy for you. I want to say congratulations. This is actually how I do my life coaching with clients. And so I have this right here.
Whoa.
This is me applauding you for doing a great job, and congratulations. But if you don't mind, I wanted to ask you, what are your tips for the writers out there, and how do you stay so focused and so patient to write 280 pages? That's a lot of pages. And was it like when your thought came through, you just couldn't stop? Did you write like an hour a day? Like, what was your routine to write that?
There's so many different ways, and everybody, I think, has their own technique, their own way of writing. As Kim would tell you, there are the plotters and there are the pantsers. I'm more a by the seat of my pants writer. I don't do outlines. I may have a beginning and an end and some things in the middle that I want to make sure I cover, but I'm more of a write as you go kind of person. some people outline and do chapters
What,
and those kinds of things, and
what is a
I can't
plotter?
do that. I'm sorry?
Well, what is it? What are those two things? One is a
Plotter or pantser.
What is those two?
The plotter is the type of person who outlines detail by detail. They know exactly what they're going to do from A to B to Z. And then they just go back in and fill in the blanks, so to speak. The pantser is more like me, who just starts and goes and kind of see where it goes. And we have to backtrack more and fill in the gaps more and kind of go with the flow, I guess, so to speak. But that's more of a pantser.
Yeah, it's awesome. And so you say it took you a few months to write it?
Yes, it did. I tried to write about 3,000 to 5,000 words per week, but a lot of those words, of course, were cut, edited, changed, revised, a lot of things at the end of the, when you rewrite, re-edit, regroup, and look at what your book ends up being. Some things have to go and some things are added. So it just varies.
Yeah. So did you have an editor or you edited it yourself?
I did have an editor. I had a beta reader first who just kind of read through the entire book and gave me ideas on things that made sense, didn't make sense. Did I leave out a good point? Did I make sure all the clues were followed up on? That sort of thing. And then I did have an editor who was actually in Sweden.
Wow. How do you find this? One is from London, one is from Sweden. How do you find them? That's amazing.
I know, it just through Facebook and through writers groups. But she was definitely overseas as well. And working with people overseas is a little bit different because the time zones are a little bit different as well. But that editor really went through a fine-tooth comb and made sure that everything in my book was correct, format correct, grammar, sentence structure was correct, everything that was in place to make the reading flow better. And she just did an amazing job. Her name was Kristen Rees, and she just did an amazing job.
Yeah, I'm sure. And so what would you say to a new writer like myself, who has written probably 40 pages at most of anything? So what would you say to a new writer?
I would say you don't have to do this all by yourself. You can join a group like I did with women who want to write, bestseller bound. We meet monthly, and still to this day, I will go to attend meetings, although now we're doing them virtually. But there's just so many moving parts to writing a book. Writing the book itself is the easy part. The rest of the publishing the book, knowing how to market the book, knowing those other points are things that I had no idea about. The technology behind all of this is something I had no idea how to maneuver. Setting up an email account, setting up landing pages, those kinds of things are things that I was not familiar with. So it's a learning process, and can you do it by yourself? Yes, absolutely you can, but it's much easier if you have help, and it's okay to reach out to people. That's why we're all here. We're all in this together. We don't have to do anything all by ourselves. We can reach out to each other to help each other, particularly during times like these, but anytime. That's why we're all here, is to help each other. So I would encourage a brand new writer to, number one, put your ideas down on paper. do not let them escape your thoughts. If you don't have paper handy, use your notes on your phone, record whatever you're thinking so that you don't lose that thought process, and then get with people who can help you through the process. That's one recommendation that I would strongly recommend.
And also encourage you, like, hey, did you write that chapter? Come on, encourage.
Exactly.
I'm actually interested. I'm actually interested at joining your writing group. Maybe you guys can push me to just finish it because I've started writing, at least 10 times. And I don't know, I go to 40th page, like whatever, 30th page, and I just stop, and then you forget the thought. But guess what? In the library, they told me print it out.
Exactly.
That was genius.
Get it down on paper.
Yeah.
Print it out.
It's
so
nothing
you can
like
see what you have.
A stupid printer. Nothing, because when the computer, it's like you scroll it, and it's just. But nothing like printed out. And so since I started printing my stuff, I'm hoping to actually finish and get a big book. But for now, I just focus on writing the little guides, like online courses. And they're still helpful, but they're easy. You can literally go through them in like an hour or so, and you have that information. So that's what I've been focusing on. But I'm definitely hoping one day to get them all together in one book. That is
that would be amazing,
powerful and hopefully helpful. And because I am a speaker, and they say, for speakers, you like have to have a book if you're a speaker. So I have courses, not just books, but I will, because I'm interested in joining your group. I want to ask you, what would you say to a new business owner? Like you say that you are a business owner. So may we ask you more about your business, like each town?
Sure. I'm a nurse. I own MEDComp South, and I work with insurance companies and some attorneys in handling their workers' comp claims, the medical aspect of that workers' comp claim. I work with them in making sure that their injured claimants have appropriate care. We focus on return to work, make sure that they're healthy, make sure that they are ready to return to work, and make sure that their injuries are well taken care of. So my job with all of that is to work directly with the injured worker, assisting the medical team from day one with all the medical treatment, coordinating, organizing, and scheduling a lot of it as well.
So you have an office here in town?
I work from home.
Oh, that's genius, actually.
Yeah.
Because cool. You don't have to have any overhead costs. So that's genius. And you're still being helpful. Do you have like a name of the company, or is it confidential?
MEDComp.
Oh, you just
South.
said it. What is it?
Yeah. And I do MEDComp South, and I do have a website. It's www.medcompsouth.com. And I work primarily with insurance adjusters and attorneys.
And how long have you been in business?
Since 2003, actually April 1st. So I just celebrated my 17th anniversary for my business. Woo, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
but it's been really good for me. It's been good to me, and I appreciate all the business that has come my way.
Yeah, that's amazing. Why do you think it's important to shop local? Like, do you work with locals, or you work from people from all over?
I work throughout the state for my injured workers. Now, the insurance adjusters can be located anywhere. I have some from Pennsylvania. I have some from Baton Rouge. I have a few from Los Angeles. I have a couple from Schaumburg. Where's that? Wisconsin. Illinois, maybe.
Yeah. So why do you think it's important to shop local? Like, especially like right now with our restaurants and everything. We need to shop local now more than ever.
Oh, it absolutely. I totally agree with that. I think anytime we can support our local economy, then that helps everybody. It helps our workers stay in their jobs, which also helps support the local economy. But more important than that, it gives everybody a sense of peace, a sense of self-worth. I mean, when a person loses their job because of the economy, it's a spiral effect, I think. And I think we as local individuals need to go ahead and support our local industries as much as we can. And whether that's picking up the phone and calling for local takeout from your restaurant or ordering from a local provider's website, I think we need to do that.
Yeah, that's good. Totally agree with you. Wow, you're so inspirational. Now, the last inspirational to write a book and shop local, of course. Now, what are you trying to accomplish with your book? Like, because I know that authors, it's a lot more than being an author. Like, are you trying to go on tour? Are you going to, speak about it? Maybe go to schools. Maybe you can read it at schools, if it's appropriate and it's helpful. Maybe you can work with some students on that. Like, what is your intention? Because I'm sure it's more than just writing a book. Like, you want to get it out there and go talk to people.
I would love to do some educational seminars, some educational activities, particularly around the head injury and neurologically impaired patients that are experiencing these problems that my book is about. And there's more than just synesthesia that head injury patients experience. Their whole life is sometimes turned upside down. There are support groups out there, and I think I just want to raise public awareness of this type of injury and these patients whose life is totally turned upside down. So I think that's my main focus with this particular series, is I want to bring more focus into the world of the head injury patient and make the public more aware of this problem that exists.
That's amazing. You're the first person I've ever heard who is interested in doing that, because we bring awareness to, breast cancer and all any other, diseases and heart diseases, but we don't talk much about brain injuries. And in our society, if you break your arm, it's understood. But if you break your brain, you're fine. Don't talk about it. You're crazy. And I do motivational speaking, so I'm a student of psychology. And now, man, I got to look this up, brain injury. I have not looked that one up. And I think it's fascinating that you're trying to bring awareness to that, because people don't understand head injuries. They understand arm and legs and anything else, but when it comes to head, you're fine.
Exactly. And head injuries, patients don't always recover from head injuries.
See?
You have a broken arm, most of the time you're going to recover without too much difficulty.
See?
That's not the case with your brain. Brains are permanently affected to some degree, and and no two are alike. So there is a bigger impact, and it not only impacts the patient, it impacts the family. Their whole well-being, their whole life is just totally different. So there are support groups. There's support groups at UAMS, at St. Vincent's, all around the country. There are support groups, but the only people that tend to go to those support groups are those that are directly affected, and most of the rest of us are not familiar with them. There's no nationwide 5K run like there is for breast cancer. I won't say there's none, because I'm sure there are some out there, but they don't get the headline information like some do. So I think just raising awareness to the level that I can is my goal.
Yeah, that's good. Well, we wish you best of luck, and we hope that you get nationwide attention and beyond. Now, I am so grateful that you will be our host presenting the speakers this event coming up. And I cannot wait to hear more of your story at that event. And I just want to thank you so much for talking to us, for writing this.
You're so welcome.
And we want to wish you best of luck as you grow your business and your book journey. And I hope that you travel all over the world with this book, because technically it's international book, because you had an editor from Switzerland, right? And then the cover
Sweden,
from London. So you have no choice but go around the world with this book. Just saying.
There you go.
At least you got to go to England and Switzerland, right?
I agree. Thank you. That would be awesome.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.